Hey everyone, my name is Gavin Rushford from GC Outdoors, and this is the official GC Outdoors Podcast. Finally, we have started a podcast. I've been wanting to do one for a long time, and this first episode we're going to talk about where I grew up, um, where am I now, and my plans for 2023, who I am, and like what GC Outdoors is, how I started it, why I started it, the people who have helped me along the way, and how I got into bass fishing. So, I grew up in Milton, Vermont, and my home lake was Lake Champlain. That's where I learned how to fish, and it's where I grew up around Lake Champlain. And I was I'm really grateful for that. I'm super thankful that I am lucky enough to be next to one of the best bass lakes in the country. I mean, I really couldn't have been in better luck. So I started fishing after I had a bad skateboarding accident. I used to be really into skateboarding, and I broke my leg, and I kind of wanted to quit after that. And I never really quit. I still skate from time to time, but fishing kind of took over my life after that. I was missing the outdoors, being bedridden and things like that. I really found a loving, like through YouTube, watching people fish, and then eventually I wanted to try it myself. So I asked my dad, and we didn't even have fishing rods at the time, but he himself grew up fishing with like that whole side of his family, of my family, was like hunters and fishermen. So it really wasn't that hard for us to just ask our family to borrow some rods, and that's what we did. So they told my uncle T gave my dad borrowed a fishing rod, and my grandfather on my other side gave me a fishing rod. We went fishing on Lake Champlain. We were catching panfish and stuff like that, and I remember I caught an eel that day, and like we were talking about it. My uncle was telling us that it was possible for us to catch eel, and I was like, wow, that'd be so cool. Like, that'd be so exciting. And I was lucky enough that I actually did, and that was just one of the really amazing experience where I really got hooked on fishing. Get it? Hooked? Was just in love with it ever since. So I fished for panfish. I fished with worms for like the longest time, and then I learned how to, fish with artificial baits and stuff like that, and target bass through YouTube and through a couple friends that helped me out. And my dad, he fished with me too, and it was a lot of fun. And I really started to get into it to the fact like where I wanted to take it to the next level. And watching it on TV and stuff like that, that's what I do now. Is I'm a tournament bass fisherman. And that was really what I had gained a main interest in. I caught a bass, and it was like a 3-pounder, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life. And yeah, and it's definitely not the biggest fish I've ever caught. And I don't know, I fell in love with it, and took over my life in the sense of, like, it's all I wanted to do it. And I have other hobbies and stuff like that, but really, when it comes down to it, fishing is what I spend the majority of my time on. And everything I really do, like, benefits the fact that for my fishing. Like, even this podcast right here, I'm doing it because I want to expand my brand of GC Outdoors and, promote myself for fishing and tournaments and stuff like that. It's really just a big way to grow and do more of what I love to do, because thanks to GC Outdoors, I've been able to do what I love a lot more and excel in it a lot more, I would say, because I do make money off it. I'll say that. I've made money from like all of the GC Outdoors brand, but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. I started GC Outdoors in June of 2020. I started GC Outdoors. It was after I caught, like, my PB at the time. It was like a 4-pounder, and it was a good PB. It was a largemouth bass, and I'd wanted to get into tournament fishing for a while now. And I'd fished the Lake Champlain, the LCI Derby, which is a derby where you just go, you weigh and fish, and the whole state competes in it. It's not really like a designated bass tournament at all. Like, it was a category for everything, and definitely a completely different format from like actual bass tournaments. So moving on to another year after that, fished that whole summer, fished that winter doing ice fishing. Ice fishing is something that I do in the off season. I love doing it. Like I'm saying, it's a good way to make more content too for GC Outdoors. I enjoy doing it. And now in like 2022, 2023, me and my dad do ice fishing, and my whole family does way more ice fishing than we've ever done on Lake Champlain. And I even completed some derbies on Lake Champlain. I won one back in 2021, I believe. I won the Big T Slammer Derby. That was in memory of my Uncle Travis, and that was a really fun experience. But after that, that next year, back in 2021, I was fished my first ever bass series, the Champlain Bass Series on Lake Champlain. And that went from Vermont and New York and just all around on Lake Champlain. My dad paid for my tournament fees that year as a birthday gift, my mom and my dad, but it was definitely an experience. It changed my whole view of like what fishing was, and it really like took me for a loop. I was just like, holy crap! Like this sport can be so big, and to actually experience it myself and not just see it on TV was just really shook me. And I was like, well, all these guys are doing these tournaments, and some of them do it for a living, and that could be me. So I fished all of 2021 in the Champlain Bass Series, really just harnessing my skills and things like that, and learning so much as a co-angler, which is what I was at the time, and I still am. Fished as a co-angler, and it was a really amazing experience to fish the Champlain Bass Series, and just to meet all these anglers, to meet all of like the boaters, co-anglers, kids like my age, try like doing it. So I wanted to do it more next in like 2022. I almost want to say it was like a trial run. It was like the beginning of my like tournament career, I suppose. And I fished that, and I did not very good in the series, but it was worth it because I learned so much. The fact of how I react mentally on the water, and how I can stay positive, be confident in the baits I'm throwing, get more confidence in the bait I'm throwing, and I really was just able to harness my skill that year. And then moving on through 2020, 2021, ice fishing season, just all through this time I was doing GC Outdoors stuff, joining some pro staffs and things like that. And actually, I should have said this, in 2021, for the Champlain Bass Series, I was sponsored by Vulture Baits and Bass Burners Baits. So what those companies are, they're bait companies that had sent me like soft plastic baits to fish with, and I still fish with them to this day. Okay, I love them. Bass Burners Baits has stuck with me for a long time, and Vulture Baits is a company that unfortunately has since it just isn't around anymore, and but they were all amazing companies, and I loved working with them. They were super nice, and it was just people like me that wanted a different pathway in fishing. So they just were bait companies that supported me and sent me free fishing baits that I was able to fish with, and that actually really helped me out. It gave me a lot of confidence too when like trying to get sponsors and things like that, which it is very possible to get sponsors, and I'll go in more into depth on how I get sponsors in the next episode. But moving on from that, 2022, I was fishing. I wanted to get out of the Champlain Bass Series. The formatting wasn't the best, and co-anglers cannot win any money or they give us like a prize pack, but you can't really win anything per se in the Champlain Bass Series as a co-angler. And I wanted to be a part of a bass club, so I did. I joined the Chittenden County Bass Club, and then in turn got me more into like the Federation, the Bass Federation, stuff like that, which are really great tournaments to fish in. And I learned more about like the tournaments and stuff like that in when I joined the CCB. CCB is a lot smaller, and like everyone's a lot closer, and like it's just an amazing experience, and I love fishing with them. I'm still a part of the club, still a part of the Federation and the Vermont Bass Federation team, And last year I qualified and I fished in the semifinal and was second in Vermont. And I came fifth overall against Massachusetts. And that was a fun experience. I loved fishing those tournaments. In 2022, I won Angler of the Year in the CCB, in the Chittenden County Bass Club, which is CCB. And I was the second co-angler to win Angler of the Year ever in the history of the club. The club's been around for a long time, way before I was born. They started that bass club, and I was the second co-angler to ever win it, which was just a really awesome accomplishment for me. And I think I really made an impact as well. For 2022, I was sponsored by Backcountry Sports in Albans, Vermont, and hopefully they will sponsor me again for 2023. We'll see how that goes. I'll let you guys in on it and how everything goes. 'Cause that's what these podcasts are going to be for. It's going to be more for like the business side of things and the personal sides of like how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it, why I do what I do. So yeah, that was kind of where I am now. I am just getting ready for 2023. I'm fishing the Major League Fishing BFL Northeast Division, as well as the Toyota Series on Lake Champlain. Yes, as well as I'm fishing the Chittenden County Bass, fishing with the Chittenden County Bass Club again, as well as fishing the Bass Federation qualifier / semifinal if I qualify. And hopefully going to nationals moving forward, the finals in the TBF, as well as I have a chance to win a bass boat down there, as well as I also have a chance to win a bass boat in the Major League Fishing Lake Champlain Toyota Series event. So if I win a bass boat, that would be amazing and a really big step in my career and the dream of like moving on. I really want to be a big bass fisherman, so I would like to make it as a living, and that's really what I want to do in life. So other than that, that's pretty much it. That's where I am today. I just want to thank the people who have helped me. There's so many people. I want to thank my dad, of course, that has helped me get push me through a sport where there really is no easy way to get into it, especially for a kid, especially for someone who wants to get into it. It's an expensive sport. Coming from a family where we don't have a lot of extra money, but I made it happen. My dad made it happen. My mom helped me. I want to thank my mom. It was just an amazing experience, and I'm so excited to move on to 2023 and see how everything turns out. And it's going to be a really fun experience, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm going to be traveling with Chris Weber, and Chris Weber is the person who got me into tournament bass fishing. He set me up with all the rods I own was from him, and I'm so thankful for him because he has helped me out so much, and it's just been an amazing bass fishing career, as I could say. But that's pretty much it. I've just wanted to come on here and really start my first podcast and talk about it, and I'm just so happy for what I've accomplished, and I'm ready to accomplish a whole bunch more. And thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys in the next podcast. Thank you guys.